Chapter 5, Lesson 3 is going to be on the angles of triangles. For this one, I'm going to keep it concise down to 3 different types of problems, all surrounding this idea of the angles of a triangle. Let's go ahead and get started. First one is the triangle angle sum. And in this case, the important thing to know is that when it comes to the angles of a triangle, they always add up to 180. No matter what, as long as it is a triangle, all the interior or inside angles will add up to 180 degrees. And we can use this to help us create an equation that will help us find any missing piece. Now, they will not always give you just numbers, constant numbers for this. Sometimes they're going to give you multiple pieces that have an x attached to it. But you can use your skills with equations to combine like terms, subtract, and divide as needed. Right now, I'm going to go through the simple case. So here's an example that says find the value of x in the triangle. The triangle has 3 angles, x, 75, and 60. And as stated above, if I add them together, they will equal 180 degrees. Now that I have created this equation, I am going to now work it out. Now, step 1 for this is a step we don't use very often in the previous units, and that is to combine like terms. Many people have been forgetting that you can do that. And that's going to happen right here between the 75 and the 60. I'm going to start by adding those together. So it becomes x plus, and I'm going to check my math to make sure I have it correct, 135 is equal to 180 degrees. Next, to get x by itself so I can solve this, I'm going to go ahead and subtract. All of these problems where it gives you angles of a triangle and you have to find the missing one, you're going to have to combine like terms and subtract at some point. But the great thing is once you have set up the equation, you're done with the geometry part, and all you are left to do is to complete the algebra. 180 minus 135 is 45 degrees, and I find my answer. Let's check out another example. This one is a little bit different. In this example, it says the measures of angles of triangle LMN are in the ratio of 1 to 2 to 5. What are the measures of the angle? Or angles? We're going to find all 3. So I have a triangle. L, M, and N. I do not know the angle measurements, but what I do know is how they are related. I know I have one angle. I have a second angle that is twice as big as the first one. That's the ratio 1 to 2. And then I have a third angle that's 5 times as big as the first one. That's what that 1 to 2 to 5 represents. And what I was showing was, I know this. I know that if I add the angles of a triangle together, they equal 180 degrees. But I also know 1 plus 2 plus 5 is not 180. We need to make those numbers bigger, and we do that by multiplying it by some number. Since I do not know what that number is, I'm going to call it x. And I'm going to multiply all three numbers by x. To move forward, I need to actually figure out what x is. So first, again, we're going to combine anything that is a like term. In this case, I can combine all three pieces with x on it. 1 plus 2 is 3, plus 5 is 8. So I have 8x is equal to 180 degrees. To continue to get x by itself, I need to go ahead and divide. So I'm going to divide both sides by 8. Now, what's different than some of the ones I went over in class is this one is a decimal. I get 22.5. Now, that's not it. That just tells me what number I need to go back and multiply by. So my third step, I'm going to start here, is to multiply all of my angle measures by the 22.5. So if I start with angle L, I'm going to say it's the 1 times the 22.5. So 22.5. Angle M, I'm going to make that one the 2 times the 22.5. That is 45. And then angle N is going to be the 5 times the 22.5. Giving me 112.5 degrees. So those are my three answers. I have to find all three angles. Once you get into the groove, these problems actually go much quicker than some of the other ones. And now for the last type of problem. The last type of problem is the exterior angles of a triangle. So what happens is a triangle is made up of 3 line segments. And these lines could go on forever and ever. What happens is it does create some angle here on the outside. The definition for the exterior angle here is that the angle on the outside is equal to the sum of the two angles opposite of it. They're called remote interior angles because they're the inside angles that do not touch the angle I'm trying to find. And we can use this equation to solve for any of the angles I have circled. So let's take a look. So let's find the value of x. So here's what I know. I have an outside angle, and the outside angle is equal to these two angles added together. So I know that the 123 is equal to the sum of the two inside angles. And all you have to do is solve this one step. I'll subtract 92 on both sides to find that x equals 31. I'm going to do one more like this, only I'm going to make this one up to show you the other way that you're going to use this. What that's going to look like is if I have this triangle, I'm going to call this x. I'll say that this angle is 60, this angle is 63. Well, the outside angle is equal to the sum of those two remote interior. So to solve it, I just need to add them together. If you stick around, I'm going to do one more example that goes with some of the questions that are in the middle of your homework. So the question I want to go over that's from your homework is a triangle that I don't remember exactly what it looks like, but I do know one of my angles is x. I have an angle that says x plus 2 and an angle that says 72. And I'm supposed to find what are those two angles that I do not know. Well, again, I'm going to use the idea that all three angles of a triangle, so x plus the x plus 2 plus the 72 is going to be equal to 180 degrees. And I need to start step one with combining like terms. And I have a couple here. I see I have an x and an x. And if I add those together, they become 2x. And I also have these two constant numbers that I can add together to get 74. To continue solving to figure out what x is, I need to go ahead and subtract the 74 on both sides. Bring down my 2x equals 106. And then to wrap that part up, I need to divide. Now, this tells me what x is equal to. It does not tell me what those angle measurements are in the picture. I do know that this one is now 53, but I need to go and look at this x plus 2. It's not x plus 2 anymore, it's 53 plus 2, which is 55 degrees. And so those are the answers that I was looking for. That's there to help you out on some of the ones you might find a little bit more challenging.